Erik Sviatchenko, thank you very much for joining us on PLZ Soccer this afternoon. Tell us, what have you been up to? What are you doing? Where are you just now?
So I'm I'm in Houston right now, and it's 8:30 in the morning, and we're just meeting in for our session. So that's where I am right now.
Yeah, Erik, I have to ask you, one of your fellow Danes is doing extremely well at Celtic just now, Matt O'Reilly, and just received his first call-up and first cap for the Danish national team. What's your reaction to that, and how impressed have you been by Matt O'Reilly's form at Celtic?
No, I'm always delighted, especially when young players are getting their chance on the national team. It's the most exciting thing you can maybe try as a football player, to get that call up and get your debut. So that's the first thing, and then of course when a player from Celtic enters the national team, as I also tried when I was at Celtic. It's a big thing, Celtic is a huge club, but it's not always the way that they looked upon in some way, because the league is a little bit smaller. But because he has been playing such good football and had produced so many goals and assists, especially this season with, I think it was 12 games and 6 and 5 or something like that, it just tells you a little bit about a player that really are in top shape, and then the national team coach really wanted to see him on that level too.
How have his performances been received by people back in Denmark? Is he a player that's highly rated by the supporters of the national team?
I think he's still a little bit unknown to the broad fan of Denmark, but the media is talking more and more about him. He's having some interviews in Denmark too, so that's always a start in some way for a player to get his name across. But he is at Celtic right now, and he is by the wings of Brendan Rodgers in some way. So there's so much potential for him now to keep growing, and hopefully he can keep doing what he does the best right now, and that's performing. Having something with goals and assists. That's what we need for the Danish players, also for the national team, and he can do that. Of course, it's always difficult to produce right away when you get your first cap, but there's lots of potential, and the media especially is talking much more about him now than they were, let's say, 6 months ago, a year ago.
And how does that make you feel when you see someone who's playing for a club that you played for yourself, Celtic, doing so well and representing the national team? Does that make it more special that this is a club that you hold so dearly to your heart?
Yeah, of course. That's also why we are talking. I have my experience at Celtic, and I know what a big club it is, and that the level is high. And it's just great to have another player that is doing really well, and having that chance now to also get Celtic on the map of Denmark in some way. That's always a good start.
I think it's fair to say you're still a fan of the club. I've noticed you've been wearing Celtic shirts on holiday. Is that correct? What's going on there?
Yeah, we for the games we have these kind of walk-ins with different outfits, and as you probably know, I love aesthetics, and I love kind of good style, and I thought that why not mix it up with a legendary Larsen shirt, and I thought it went cool with a white shirt underneath. So that's what I brought into that kind of picture for the day, and it was of course received really well, and I knew that the Celtic fans would probably go bananas over that, because that's a player that they love, and a club that they love.
Do you still listen out for the scores and look at the results and try and watch Celtic when you can when you're over in the States?
Yeah, I try. It's always a little bit difficult with the time difference, but I always check up on the score, and I saw the highlights from the last game against Aberdeen, especially because one of my friends and former teammates plays for Aberdeen in the centre back position, and he said he had a tough day at Paradise.
And of course, Brendan Rodgers now back at the club as as manager. You played for Rogers during his first spell. Do you fully expect him to replicate the same success that you guys had first time round?
I can't see why he couldn't be able to replicate it. We had an unbelievable squad. I think the squad is really strong right now. It has a little bit of a different kind of nationality approach, different type of players, but yet again they have performed, especially on the Ange. They did a lot of amazing work, and Brendan Rodgers has now come in and needed to not to reinvent anything. I think he needs to continue and put in his kind of signature on it, and I think it's going to be amazing to watch out for the next coming seasons. And also we have my physical coach over here who's a Rangers fan, and that's always fun to talk a little bit about the Scottish football with him.
Yeah, just to pick up on that point, so there's a coach out in Houston who's a Rangers fan. What sort of banter do you two have about Rangers and Celtic? Has he mentioned anything to you when you first came to the club, or vice versa?
Yeah, of course. He said there's only one club in Glasgow, and he said it was blue, and I said, of course, it was green and white, the hoops. So it just goes back and forth, and he comes back when he has. Have you heard there's a new player signing? And oh, they won this weekend, and I said, yeah, but there's still a big difference in my opinion. But it's just fun.
And just to finish, you had a very successful short spell at Celtic. What's your favourite memory? Any stories that stick out from your time at the club that you think, yeah, that was the top one?
I think people knows in general all the success that we had, but I think a little story I have 2 minutes that I can share is with Scott Brown. He was in charge of the fines for the team, and we came to the hotel, and I had misunderstood that we were going for a walk first, but I really needed to go onto the toilet and yeah, as you say, take a dump. So I did that. And when I came out and wanted to have some dinner, everyone was gone. I thought, shit, man, I missed it. It was the walk first. So I sprinted outside. It was Hotel Dakota, I remember, outside of Glasgow. And I sprinted out, and Ayer and Stu was picking up with me and said, like, just be quiet, it's fine. I don't think he saw anything. But I knew that Scott Brown had seen it. So I texted him later when we had our nap, and I said, Scott, I was late. And it's match day double. I was 3 minutes late, and I said, okay, let's do half the injury. I'll pay like $300 or something like that. I had miscalculated, and I afterwards, like a year, found out that the price was only like $100. I paid him $300, but Scott Brown was very clever because he got all the money into the fine pot, and we could use them on a night out. So he got me there. It was really good of him.
That's brilliant. That's a great story, Erik. It's been lovely chatting to you. Great to hear from you again, and we wish you all the best over in the USA. Thanks for coming on PLZ Soccer.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. All the best.